Hi guys. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. So there's only what's appearing to happen. There's energy. Energy is nothing being everything, everything being nothing. It's completely beyond understanding and knowing. So what's being shared here is a suggestion, a description. It's a sharing from nothing without agenda or goal that can resonate. It's not to do with getting anything or knowing anything or understanding anything. And what's being shared is very, very simple, very ordinary. It's that whatever is appearing to happen is what's looked for when you feel like a person. So if we assume that and accept that as a person there's a yearning for something, what's being yearned for, the suggestion is what's already is, just simply what's appearing to happen. The sense that you are a separate person, a lived sense, an energetically contracted sense of being in the body in and a world out there through which you negotiate, is artificial, and it always has been. It's a story, and that can be seen at any time. It can be seen by nobody. That sense of, that energetic sense of feeling that there's an inner and an outer, can collapse, apparently collapse, because it's not actually something that happens, because this is nothing appearing to happen. When there's a feeling of being a person, there's a sense of living in a closed loop of knowing. So there's a really lived feeling that everything is knowable and that you know the world in which way you know it, and that there's a living in that the reality of feeling that things are knowable and seeing things, objects, people, experiences, and feeling that it's in a in a linear time and space reality. It's absolutely real because it feels absolutely real. That's the way it is. There definitely is a me, and there's a world out there, and I'm making my way through it, and that's the way it is. And that's everything I see in the world and everything I experience confirms that for me, that yes, you are a person, you have a life, and so on. What's being shared is that that's an energy. It's a contracted energy. It's an appearance. It's a contracted sense of feeling in the body and looking out on the world. And it plays out like it plays out. It's there till it's not there. It's there till physical death, or perhaps before physical death. That energetic sense of being separate can collapse. And it's very obvious then for no one that what was searched for, what was yearned for, was never anything but whatever appeared to happen already. It's very simple, very ordinary. It's just this. So if there's a question, you can put your hand up, and there's no real silly questions, or it's not about an answer to a question. It's the questions are an energy. There's an energy, and that energy is the resonance of what's been said and suggested. That's nobody's. That is heard as it's heard. Hi, Ashish.
Hi, Kenneth. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, again, I know this is something which cannot be comprehended by words, but pointing towards it. Where I'm struggling slightly is when we say this human or this body, as I'm appearing, is basically a contracted energy, of the vast energy, really speaking, in this contracted form. But then on the other hand, we are saying nothing is appearing as everything.
So there is only energy, which is energy is nothing being everything. Okay, which bodies and candles and computers and everything, all there is energy. And in that appearance, there's a sense of, not that there's just a body and a body mind and talking, but that there's a sense of being in the body and being the one who's doing the talking and the sitting and so on. There's a really lived feeling of being a separate person in the body who has a life.
Right. So whenever it says nothing, is basically, it implies to the energy appearing as everything.
Yeah, all there is energy, though. All there is energy. This is energy right now. That's all there is energy. And energy appears as different things, and to the person it appears as things that are actual objects, that are separate things. But there is no separate thing that exists in and of itself. It's a story. But for the person, it's a reality. They live in this reality of, they live in the real, where they feel like a something, and they see something else. So it's a subject-object reality. And what's being shared here is that it's an appearance. It's real in its appearance and nothing more. And actually, what's yearned for, when there is that feeling of being separate, what's yearned for is simply just already whatever appears to happen, which is ludicrous to the person. The person feels that it's not just this, it's always something better than this, or it's around the next corner, it's an experience, or it's a realization, or it's whatever it is. But it can't just be what's appearing to happen. That's ridiculous. But I'm not speaking to anybody, so.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks. Hi, Dario.
I think John was first.
John, okay.
Hello, Kenneth.
Oh, yeah.
Not that this makes any difference, but I just find myself wondering: is energy real? Or is the energy also part of the appearance?
You could say everything is real and unreal. Really, the person lives. The person is the dualism. The person is the dualism of opposites. So it's either real or unreal, and lives in that duality, because the person is the duality. So if for the person it has to be, is it real or is it unreal? Just in the same way as people would talk about, like, is it good or is it bad? If it's not good, it's bad. It's this constant play of opposites that we see in life. And the closest you could come to describing it, I would say, is that it's real and unreal. So that makes it's completely beyond understanding then, because the mind I would suggest, moves in that kind of play of opposites. It's either one or the other. So for it to hold both is just impossible. Another way of saying it is that it's real in its appearance, but for the person, it's not that it appears real. It feels absolutely real.
Thank you. So I suppose the danger would be thinking that there's this energy somewhere that's as a background to everything that's real.
Yeah.
That's real and unreal.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing. Like, this is an impossible suggestion. This is impossible. It can't be described. So there's just a sharing from nothing. But that's one of the ways it's misheard, is that there's a feeling that you're talking about there's a feeling that there's somebody who's listening to this now, listening to and taking part in a Zoom and listening to what's being said, and that when the host is speaking about energy, that this must be some special different energy. It's not just sitting on the chair now and the sound of talking. It's something else. It's not something else. All there is energy. Whatever, computering, desking, chairing, peopling, that's all there is. But that's not all there is for the person. It feels that there's a me, there's an individual, there's an I, who's moving through life, and there's somewhere to get to. There's always somewhere to get to. It's always around the next corner. It's always not just what's appearing to happen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
How does unconditioning relate to this?
Not really. There's nothing that the person can do to bring about their own absence, because they're already not there. So if someone goes through some kind of deconditioning, or the popular one at the moment is healing traumas, recognizing traumas, seeing behavior patterns that emanate from these traumas, and healing these traumas. And that's just more, there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing right with it, it's just what appears to happen. But anything that the person thinks they will do as regards what's being shared here, it can only just reinforce the sense that there's someone who can do something.
The same as with purity.
Yeah, anything you can suggest.
Yeah.
Anything that you can suggest is that would anyway resemble a doing or a methodology, or the person would love there to be something. Most of the time when there's this sharing, there's a huge amount of apparent people who just dearly want you to give some sort of method or prescription, because that's what the person's so used to. Surely meditation can help. Surely whatever can, it always has to be something. There already is no separation. There already is just energy, which is nothing being everything. That's either seen or it isn't.
And it has nothing to do with the appearance.
No, it has nothing to do with what appears to be happening.
Thanks.
It has nothing to do with the me either. I mean, that's quite a shock to people, because everything in the story is always to do with how I am. I'm too much one thing and I'm not enough another thing, and it's this, everything is kind of filtered through this sense of me, and the incredible realization is that what's looked for is absolutely nothing to do with you, or how you think you are, or how you experience yourself to be. That's all a story.
I was just also asking this because like in this meeting sometimes there come up these topics about certain judgments or positions maybe of the speaker, but this has nothing to do with all of this. I don't know, sometimes it feels like this bleeds into these meetings, that there are other topics discussed.
Okay.
But that's yeah, maybe just the confusion here. I don't know.
That's what's happening. So, hi, Anita.
Hi, Kenneth.
Oh yeah.
Cheers. Real or not real doesn't matter.
No, I mean what's being shared here has nothing to do with knowing or understanding, or nothing matters, because what's being shared here is just it's an energetic resonance. That's about as clear as I can put it. So when this resonates and it's seen by nobody, it's so obvious that there's just whatever is appearing to happen, and nothing matters, because something only matters when there's a sense of being a person who has a life and lives in a world imbued with meaning, and that meaning only comes from a sense of separation. Nothing needs any meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Only the meaning only comes from meaning that we put on it.
Yeah. I was in the meeting of New, and he said something like that the that there is a relation between the character and the conditions, but I always thought that it's not.
I don't know. I don't want to comment on what someone else said, so we can just share this now. I never have any interest in commenting on what someone else said. This is just shared now. This is about what's appearing to happen right now.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very ordinary. There's no Neil. There's no Kenneth. There's no anybody. It's very, 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 very obvious and ordinary, and already the case. It's just whatever appears to happen. It's sitting on a chair, sounds, speaking.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mouse.
David, hiya.
Hey, Kenneth. I was just thinking as you were talking, as I could hear like car noise or whatever from someone else's mic.
Mm-hmm.
How it's just this message. It's not, it just allows for such untidiness, and it's like it makes me feel beautiful, like in that allowance. Like it just feels so giving and freeing, and even in its taking away.
Yeah, it's totally boundless.
Yeah.
It's indescribable. It's absolutely stunning. It's nobody's message, nobody's communication.
Right.
And it's unconditional love. And unconditional love is the scene for nobody that everything is just energy. So that is order and chaos. That is pleasure and pain. That is all that is. And therein is the liberation. Therein is the freedom. Is just just what's appearing to happen. It's stunning. It can't be described. I can't describe it.
Not at all.
Nobody can. Nobody has ever been able to. Yet it's ridiculously ludicrously obvious and ordinary.
Oh, that's a good word for it. It is ludicrous. You feel, because I don't know, I just feel when I get any sort of breath of calamity like that, that's what it is. It's like the chaos and order of it mashed together. It's like, it's such a beautiful feeling. It's just so, and it's so nice to be in a like, yeah, to just be in a, even if it's a virtual room where that's just so free and open, and there's
No, it's just an energy. It's not an energy. It's energy.
Right.
It's energy that's boundless and knows no border.
Yeah.
And it's beyond knowing, beyond understanding. Does not need to be grasped, which is lovely.
Oh man, yeah.
Because most we're used to communications that, like, how can I need to kind of get to the crux of this and kind of integrate this. I need to know it. I need to integrate it and just get this bit of knowledge for myself. Like, what am I gonna? If you think about any kind of talk on anything, usually with people, I would actually start the talk by outlining what you are going to get out of this. You know, if you've anything through work or anything you've been to, and if you don't do that, people get a bit irritated often. It's like, well, what am I here for?
What the fuck
Why am I here? And the answer to that is, you're not. You're not here. It's amazing. It's absolutely stunning. It's just everything else just falls apart.
Woo. Yeah, man. 100%. Love it. Thanks for putting it on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Ashish.
Hi, Kenneth. Hopefully nobody else is there, right? Yeah, I'm just not jumping the queue. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of paradoxical. The reason being, so because all that we know is through the five senses, through whatever we perceive, whatever we see. So this character, because again this character Kenneth is the energy appearing as Kenneth, for this energy appearing as Ashish. Now this illusion, this which is created by this character of Ashish, is listening to somebody, which is again an illusion. So how come what this illusion character is saying is kind of is limit? Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is how did this character Kenneth go out and reach and understood? I know it's understood is the wrong word. Basically, we're trying to transcend into something which cannot be spoken of, which cannot be understood. So how did this character Kenneth is now informing? What was the experience of?
We're not actually trying to do anything here. There's no effort to do anything here. No, there's no being asked to transcend anything or to none of that. All there is what's appearing to happen, and that is energy. So that in energy appears Kenneth and Ashish, and what it appears one person speaking to another. That's what appears to be happening. And what's been suggested is that there's not really an other, there's just what's appearing to happen, which is all energy, which is now just speaking. There's actually no there and here, there's no inner and no outer. Only in the story there appears to be. And that's what's being shared and suggested.
Right.
It's nothing to do with, like, the character Kenneth is completely irrelevant to the character. It's nothing to do with the character. And nothing was achieved or done or attained at all, nothing at all, by Kenneth. Because Kenneth would have been a real individual person who would have attained something or achieved something, and it is then decimating that information or sharing that information so others could achieve the same thing. That's not what this is at all. Um, there's just Kennethine, there's just energy, and that's what you referred to. What you what you started off with was the senses. So actually, if you want to bring it back to the senses, there's a sense when you're a person that there's sound. So there's a sense that I'm hearing the sound. So there's the sense of sitting on a chair in the body, and then there's a sense that I'm sitting on the chair. There's the visual senses, so there's a seeing, and there's then added to that is a sense that I'm seeing everything. So what's being shared is very simple, is all of that energy that's pouring through all the senses, and you could include thought as a sense if you wish, and emotions as another sense if you wish, which is quite logical, I think. So it wouldn't be you that would be thinking or you that would be feeling. It's just feeling, thinking, seeing, hearing. It literally is that simple. But that sense of being a person is like it's like a veil that all of those senses pour through, and when it feels there and it feels real, it just feels absolutely real. It feels absolutely real that you're hearing this now and you're listening to this, maybe if you're a person. And what's being suggested or shared is that there's no you in there hearing this, there's just sound.
Right.
And that can resonate then. And when it resonates, it doesn't resonate with you. It's nothing to do with you, actually. And you're not being spoken to. Fundamentally in this, nobody's being spoken to or addressed because there is no separate person already.
Right. So this is where you say it's real and unreal, because speaking is happening, but not happening.
Well, everything is and isn't. Yeah, everything is, that's totally beyond understanding. But the sense of the person is they feel that they're speaking, or they feel there's another person there speaking and I can hear them speaking. So there's a constant addition of me to everything. It's a constant addition of, and that's just an energy that appears to happen. And when that appears to fall away, it appears to fall away because it's seen that was always a story. And what you'll hear quite commonly is people say that when they dropped away, when they fell away, they didn't really fall away because it was just seen that they never were an individual to begin with. So that it was just seen, it was all a story.
Right. And this story is kind of, it's more like a robotic story. I mean, it will just continue to happen as it has to happen, really speaking.
It just plays out. Everything plays out like it plays out. Yeah. Everything appears. It can't be any other way. Only in the mind of the person. Things can always be different. Usually better.
Yes.
Usually better. Like there's a kind of a rejection. Like one of the qualities of being a person is to kind of continually reject one aspect of what's happening in favor of something else, and trying to make that better. That can always be better. And there's a really kind of lived feeling of moving forward in time to something that's around the next corner. But then there's a sense of getting there, and then there's disappointment.
Right.
There maybe not for a while. It could be that it satisfies for a while, but very fleetingly. It's very temporal. And then what's being shared here is that sense that there's something better around the next corner is all to do with the sense of separation, and that sense of separation is artificial. There's no next corner, there's nowhere to get to, there's no there, there's just what's appearing to happen.
Right. So just as we say, for example, breathing is happening.
Yeah, speaking is happening. You're not speaking there now.
Yes.
There's no you in there speaking.
Yes.
There's no you in there that's moving the hand, that's touching your face occasionally. There's just mind, body there, and whatever's appearing to happen.
It's just happening.
It's very obvious, you see. That's the thing about it. It's too obvious.
Yeah.
And that's why it's always overlooked. It appears to hide by already just being everything.
Yeah.
It's ludicrously obvious. It's that there's nobody. It's so obvious, but all the time you feel like a person, it's not obvious at all.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Kenneth.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And I'm interested in that small painting or drawing behind you.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Okay. Thanks. It's all very random. Yeah, you can say, you can ask something again, Ashish. There's no problem. There's
Okay.
not really a limit
Sorry.
on
Yeah, just okay. Thank you. And so now I think it's making kind of, it's difficult to say sense. Yeah. So this is where when we say there is free will and there is no free will, for the apparent person, the person thinks he or she has a free will.
The person feels real. They feel like a person who has control of their life. Fundamentally, it's that they feel that there's life and then there's my life. So I'm here and I have a life. I'm a real me. And then out of that is the sense that they have volition, they have control, they have choice, and that they are acting and taking action, and things happen as a result of the efforts they make. And that's all a story. But in the dream of the person, it feels real, and it feels to confirm every time, like it feels that, well, the glass came up and I took a drink because I decided to take up the glass and take a drink. That wouldn't have happened in the world of the in the world of the individual. That couldn't have happened unless I had made the decision to do it. So that's the way it feels. Everything feels absolutely real for the person. And what's been suggested is actually, if there is a really lived sense of being a person, then the glass would come up, and then you would add yourself to that apparent action within anything from point something of a second to it can be several seconds. So there's a sense, it's an artificial addition, basically.
Yes, and we take it personally. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, everything is personal, because everything is for the person. Everything is about me.
Yes.
Like we're all the center of the universe.
Yes.
There's 8 billion. How many? I don't know how many people now, but it's 8 billion people. Is there? So there's 8 billion centers of the universe.
Yes.
We can't all be right.
Agree. So it's more comparing more like a puppet. The puppet thinks the puppet is doing something.
Yeah,
but this is the energy or the string that is being pulled.
Yeah, or a play is a nice analogy too, that people feel like, it's like as if there's a play and the people in the play have forgotten that they're playing characters in the play and it's not actually real, and it feels absolutely real. But then when there's that sense of being a person falls away, it's seen everything is like a play. Everything is just it's real and unreal, you could say.
Yes, yes. Thanks,
But
thanks.
this is not about getting like, I mean, some of this can seem very obvious, or there can be kind of an understanding of what's a conceptual understanding of what's shared, but that's irrelevant really, because it's not actually understandable what's being shared. It's not gettable. It's about this full-on aliveness that is already all there is, and this contracted sense of being separate, that it can no longer be there. It can be seen that there's just, and then there's just a living for nobody in the unknown, the immediacy of what appears to happen. Because everything is actually unknowable, but it's only knowable when you feel separate to it.
Right.
And there's a living in the known, like what we take as the world. That's we there's a feeling that there's a me and there's a world there, and things are really happening in it, and all of that is just that it's the same energy, that there's a narrative of what happens in the world and what's real, and that seems out there and that seems absolutely real, but it's all from the same sense of separation. And it can be seen that all of that is a story. All that what we take to be as a person, to be a real narrative of what's happening, is actually just an empty story. It's quite obvious now, I think. Yeah. Certainly a lot of people saying it is anyway.
Yes. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks. I love the characters in the play idea, someone comments. I once heard that a friend was dying and wanted to laugh. On reflection, this was because I somehow knew it was not true. I don't know how I knew. Yeah. So there is no death actually. There's the appearance of death. As a person, there's it's a play of opposites. It's a dualism. The dualistic play of opposites is fundamentally that there's life and death. Yeah, so there's life and death. So when we feel, excuse me, when we feel alive, we feel there's life and I have a life, and then there's this other thing then called death. And it's a story. It's a dream. There's not two different separate things, one called life and another called death. There's just simply what's appearing to happen, which is energy, which is everything being nothing, life, death, nothing being everything. Boom. It's very obvious. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Kenneth. I'm not so sure if I can bring across my question clear. Of that what is happening, is there like remaining something like a functional awareness of that happening? For example, when the cup there is raised for a drink, is something in a way registering that, or is it just
Well,
blindly
it's
happening?
seen by nothing that that's what's appearing to happen.
Yeah.
It's just the awareness of the knowing that falls apart, really. It doesn't feel like a separate thing that's lifting the cup. It's just cup is coming, or glass is coming up. Or even like you could say, an idea might come, oh, I think I'll go to the cinema.
Yes.
Let's say, for
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that could arise here, but
Yeah.
it would literally just be that thought would just, it wouldn't be a sense that I'm thinking that's
yeah.
my thought, I'll go to the
Yeah.
cinema.
Yeah.
So like plans kind of appear to happen sometimes, or like, oh, if I do this I could do that, and that would do that, and that's just what's appearing to happen. So the sense of me doing that falls apart because there's nobody, obviously.
Yeah,
It's the
like a bit
same,
like
actually.
this
It's,
content creator is vanished in a
yeah.
way. Yeah.
It's the thing about it is it's the same as the
Yeah.
way you are. It's the exact same, except, and it's indescribably different. That's
Yeah.
the thing about it. It's like, it's what people are searching for when they feel like separate people is already whatever appears to happen. It could be an uncomfortable feeling, it could be a sense of anger, it could be there's a thought, there's this, whatever it is, that's already what's looked for. It's very
So in a way,
it's very ordinary, and it's just that. But then it's indescribable then, the sense of it's the same, but it's indescribable then, the difference between feeling that that's my thought and they're just being thought, or it's not describable.
yeah, I heard you mention that once or twice, and yeah, and the how to put it, so it means also that like this sense of wanting to know is also what is then
Oh yeah,
happening
yeah,
only.
yeah. So if it's a sense of wanting to know, then that's
Yeah.
what's appearing to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can sense that the funny thing is that like it's like an I don't know, it's an energy movement here right now going on, and it's just like this a sense of wanting to know, but I can somehow feel that it is killing the aliveness in a way. It is
Well, it's not
something.
really killing the aliveness, because it's just all there is energy. All there is energy, which is nothing being everything. It's like what we're speaking about here is inescapable. It's inescapable. It can't ever be escaped from. What's yearned for is actually inescapable, because it is already all there is. But in the sense that, also in what you're saying, the sense of wanting to know something can kind of kill it in a way of it's turning it's objectifying everything.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
when there's a feeling of knowing something, it's also there that it's not being seen as it actually is. And that's the
Yeah.
whole kind of reflexive movement of the individual, is a living in a closed loop of knowing. And then there's when there, and living in the real, in which there's other people and objects and seeing only things, which is very dissatisfying. And things aren't seen as they actually are, which is boundless and unknowable. But it's that kind of prison of me, the apparent prison of me, is that there's a living in the known, and it's that known that keeps you safe. You see, it's that living in the known that keeps that bubble of me safe from a world that's outside it, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's
And there's nothing that can be done about it.
No.
It's so helpless.
Nothing needs to be done, because it's only a story anyway. But it's it can be seen that it's a story. It can just be seen, and that sense of being a person can apparently collapse. And just now, right now, it's always now, because there's no now, but
Yeah, it sounds a bit like a hope again. Then like when I hear this, it can be seen. Then it sounds a bit like a hope, but I get. Yeah. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. So if there's no person, they couldn't die. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. So there, we're kind of back to at the beginning. We were talking about everything being real and unreal. So you could also express it that way. So that when somebody dies, there's the real part. Okay, so they're no longer walking around and talking and singing and farting and the whole shebang. And you know, the story of them functioning as a human being is there's no longer functioning as a human being, so they die. It's also it's real and unreal. So when you no longer feel like a person, a separate individual person, you don't see other people because there are no other people. There's just energy peopling, and what's obvious is that it's all energy. So that what you actually are doesn't die, because it can't die, because it's energy, and energy doesn't go anywhere. It's not created or destroyed. So in this, it's a story that someone dies, is another way of putting it. Because you weren't born and you don't die. There's no beginning or end, only in the story. Yeah, it's fundamental science, really, isn't it? Energy can't be created or destroyed. So birth was part of the story. Yeah, so in the story, you're born, and that's the start, and then you live your life and you die, and that's what's being shared here, is that that's a story, that all there is energy, and that you are that energy appearing to be a person, and then that body will die and decay just as everything appears to, and what you actually are is just energy. So there's all beginnings and ends are a story, because the whole sense of time and space is an aspect of feeling like a person. This is infinite, eternal. This is infinite and eternal already. Hi, Dario.
Hi. So before there were any humans, this was already. I mean, there was not.
Yeah, there's just energy. So energy, dinosaurs, and energy, humans, and energy, whatever else. It's all one energy. There's only just energy. And in the story, it's in the story that it started with the Big Bang, and it all is building up to this, and it came to this point, and then at this point we're moving into the future. Like, that's all a story. It's all a narrative.
There's no time.
No, there is there is time in the story. So it's real and unreal. But for a person feels that time is absolutely real. There is a thing called time. What was it Einstein said? Time is a clock on a wall ticking.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he was saying, is there's no independent thing called time. It's a function in the story.
Thanks.
But, you know, we can talk, like, all of these things come up. There's no free will, there's no control, there's no time, there's no this, that. But when you boil it all down, there's no you. There's no you. There's no separate individual you. And when that's seen, all of those other things are just seen to be symptoms of that. You know, like the free will is an interesting one. Like, a lot of scientists and different people have got a hold of the fact that there's no free will, and they've written books about it, and they tell you what to do with that information in the books. how you can live your life knowing there's no free will, and what difference it will make to your life. It's lovely. Oh yeah.
I connect. Yeah. So yeah, I know what you're saying. So this is also, I think science is also alluding to, like, if I look into my body, if I look into my skin, if I look into my cell, every item is 99.9% empty.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Everything is empty because it's nothing being everything. But it doesn't feel empty as a person. It feels like you're a solid thing looking at something else that's a solid thing. It's a subject-object reality as a person. That's the way it is. It doesn't feel like and the no thing, the emptiness, right, is never seen. It can't be seen. And the emptiness is actually what's yearned for. But it's never seen by you. But when there's no longer sense of you, clearly all there is nothing being everything. It's just simply what's appearing to happen.
yes.
Like, this is very, very simple what's being shared here, actually. It's very, very ordinary. It's not about, sometimes it can sound quite esoteric or complex or this or that, but it's very obvious and ordinary. It's very simple. It's just that there's whatever is appearing to happen. There's no Zoom meeting. There's no non-duality. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to know. There's simply whatever is appearing to happen.
Thanks.
Thanks. Brett.
Hey, Kenneth, how you doing?
Good.
So are you really saying that it's like, in a way, no thing to nothing?
I don't really follow you now. Am I saying that it's no
Meaning
thing
like,
to nothing?
Meaning it's like, I'm thinking how to say this. It's like, I'm not talking about physically, but more like the way that it's like nothing relating to nothing.
Mm.
Does that make sense to you? Or
yeah, well, this is nothing now.
Right.
This is nothing, right? And nothing is a voice. It's a sound of a voice through a microphone. It's a computer that's connected to, and people sitting looking at screens who have joined a thing called, let's call it a Zoom meeting, right? All of that is nothing being everything, which is screens, microphones, voice, everything. That's all there is. And it's not that there's two different things, nothing and everything. It's one, and it's just simply energy. And actually there's no relating to another, only in the story. So there's no sense here that I'm relating to somebody that's over there.
Yes.
There's just speaking. And it appears then the speaking's from there. It appears that speaking is in this body, and then that's just it. But there's not a lived sense as there is when there's a person that I am speaking to you over there. Exactly. And that's the reality the person lives in, which is the reality that is continually reinforced and which is unquestioned. Of course I'm speaking to you, of course you're over there, and we could get into a conversation about what country you're in, where you are, and there's all this narrative around that, and it feels absolutely real.
Right, it feels real, but it's really nothing.
Well, you're back to, again, it's real and unreal, you know what I mean? It's real and unreal, but the unreal aspect of it's not seen by the, it's when you feel like a person, everything feels absolutely real. I feel real. I'm looking at you. You're real. We're speaking now and relating. It's nice that you said relating, actually, because that sense of being a person is a sense that you're relating to another person, and there's that whole heaviness of that and that neuroses of interacting with what feels like another person.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. it's just sometimes hard for me to use the word.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And I've no problem with anyone getting on here and trying to verbalize any kind of question that they struggle with, because this is impossible to describe. This is unknowable. This is, and sometimes people have can't get the question out, and that's okay as well. It doesn't matter. It really is not about questions and answers. Superficially it looks like that. It can look like that, and people engage with this, and they appear to engage with this, and they can stay with it just on that kind of, questions and answers, and almost just conceptually concepts going back and forth and whatever, and that's where they're at with it, and that's okay, that's fine. But then there's others that apparent others that when this is shared, there's a resonance, an energetic resonance that's completely beneath the words or the questions or anything, and it can just be very obvious that there's just what's being shared here, what's being pointed towards can be very, very obvious.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. That's a nice comment, actually. The act of asking a question is a complete mystery. Yeah, it is. It's just amazing what appears to happen. It's just amazing. It's stunning. But as a person who lives in the known, then it's not really so stunning. It's kind of, oh, that's just a question, and they asked a question, and there's a kind of second-handness to it. But when there's no longer a sense of being a person, everything is just new. Everything's new because it's everything being nothing and nothing being everything, and it's indescribable. It's just unknowable, and this is about living in the unknown. Nobody living in the unknown. So thanks very much. I'm doing a Zoom, a full day Zoom on Wednesday, so I like to do things 2 days before, just so very little chance of success. But no, I'm joking. I got a kind of an opening to do it, so that's what's happening. It's Wednesday, 2 sessions, as I said in the email, kind of 9:30, I think, to whatever time I said, and then a break, and then an afternoon one. So people from America might get the second one, and then there's some people from Australia then like to get that early one or whatever. So there you go. Thanks very much.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Kenneth.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
guys.
you.
See you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Kenneth. Thank you.
Thank you.